Well, hello there everybody, and a warm welcome to this webinar on what is probably the best kept secret of the Sage 200 suite, Sage CRM. We have a great number of people watching today, which is really encouraging, and it tells me that you're looking not only at how you can improve your business or organization, but that you're being smart about it too, and are certainly willing to consider what is a great cost-effective tool that you already have, but perhaps either aren't using or aren't using to its full potential. I also know that we have some people on the webinar who have what we refer to as the standalone version of Sage CRM, and that's great. This webinar will be relevant to you, so it's great that you can join us today for it. Okay, so my name is Paul Ince. I'm a solutions architect at TSG. You may have seen me at various events that we've run in the past, or you may have seen me pop up on tsg.com. And I'm joined today by someone else that you've probably met at our events, Danny Broxup, who is a channel enablement manager from Sage. Danny, say hi.
Okay, good morning everybody.
Okay, so we're hoping to get through some great info over the next 40 minutes or so. I appreciate time's always precious, so what we'll do is we'll actually start by talking through some of the business challenges that we're often presented with. These are common to businesses and probably will resonate with yours. So we'll look at how Sage CRM addresses those challenges and show you how the application can add some real value to your business. We'll cover how Sage CRM integrates with the rest of the Sage 200 suite. And ultimately, Danny will give you a live demonstration of Sage CRM and how it fits with Sage 200. It's always nice to see a product in action on these events. I'll then talk about how we at TSG can get CRM implemented quickly into your business, because that's part of what we're promoting today. And we've got a specific method for doing this that's fast and it's cost effective, and really sets you on your way to gaining the benefits of CRM and doing that quickly. So we'll round it off with an open Q&A session for you at the end. Just to let you know some technicalities of the webinar, if you've not been on one of our webinars before, we put all microphones into mute, and that's really to avoid background noise. So if you have a question for us, then please enter that in the question box, which is on the control panel on the right hand side of your screen, and I'll collate all of the questions during the webinar, and between Danny and I will answer as many of those as we can at the end. Now I can see who poses which question, so if we run out of time, or if the question is very specific to you, then what we'll do is we'll follow that up after the webinar with you on a one-to-one basis. But I'd actually like to start off today's webinar with a question for you. I'd like to understand how many of you currently use a CRM system of any sorts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place a poll on the screen which will allow you to directly answer that question. It's a simple yes or no question, and as it says, do you already use a CRM system? Yes or no. You should be able to click on the screen, and I can see the percentage of voting. So we've got 79%, 86% of you voted so far. Oh, we're getting there. To enough 100%. Okay, fantastic. Thanks for doing that. I can actually show you the results of that, which I think is interesting. So let me share the results with you. So there you go. You can see that 62%, so 2/3 of you are not currently using a CRM system, but 38% of you are, which is fantastic. Of course, it may be that you use Sage CRM already. It may be that you don't. Whichever it is, we hope to be able to give you some value from the content of this webinar as a result of that. So let's look at why CRM is important first of all. Firstly, I don't want you to get hung up on the term CRM. It's not really a technology decision that it's not really a technology decision that you have to make alone. CRM is really about helping you sell more effectively and ultimately grow your revenues. The world that we know of business is really going through a state of change at the moment, and how you interact with your customers is also changing. So the question arises, how do you generate leads when customers already know all about you? I think one of the things that's quite crucial to remember these days is that from virtually anywhere, people can find out about you, your products, your competitors, whether your customers are happy or not, and most importantly, with a mere 140 characters, they can now start to have an impact on your brand. And actually we all do this, don't we? Because if you are involved in social media, whether it's Facebook or you have a Twitter account, we do feel empowered to talk about people that supply us with products or services, whether as a business organization or more prominently a consumer. And today companies like ours and yours must face the reality of these consumers or customers that we have, because they are unbelievably informed, and they're fickle and very powerful. And when you talk to marketers or marketing professionals, they'll talk about people having unpredictable purchase paths these days, and that's because they have all this access to information. So whether they join the social conversation and give you their thumbs up or like or a happy face or whatever, essentially at the click of a button they can now start to make an impression on your brand. And there's a great example of this in the States. It's United Airlines, and they were unresponsive to a passenger's complaint. I think this guy sort of saw his guitar thrown out of the plane by the baggage handlers, and this sort of rage meant that he created a song on YouTube, and it's had 12 million hits. And the sort of virality of this this sort of social context, people spreading the word both positive and negative, can have a real impact on your business. So let's look at some stats that actually back that up. The trends are really showing that customers are now 70% of the way through the buying process before they actually make contact with the company that they're researching. And when they do reach out, they've actually already formed a hypothesis. And that really is having an impact on how we sell. So, social selling is certainly on the rise, and social selling best practices encourage people to develop a relationship through that social network. The outcome of which is really that sometimes customers don't even think of their contact as a salesperson, but more of a trusted advisor. And that's different from, perhaps the traditional ways of selling. And to be successful in that, you need a different set of capabilities. But, I think the outcomes are worth the investment, especially when you consider that 73% of salespeople who are using social media to sell outperform those that don't. Now, this webinar is not a webinar on how to sell through social media, but what we'll see with Sage CRM is that it has that connection with those social channels, so your business can really get on board with this. What I would say is that, these days it's not just about sending a piece of direct marketing and waiting for the lead to come your way. You need to adopt a contact nurturing mindset. So build a relationship, consider it long term, and engage in a conversation. Collect and use the information that you have within systems like a CRM system to your business advantage. Now, those businesses that are using nurture marketing are seeing increases in sales anywhere from 30 to 35%. So, a great number there. Okay, now to help meet the needs of these customers, your employees have their own needs, and they've also changed. Everyone certainly seems to have multiple devices these days. People choose the device on which they want to work pretty much based on what the task in hand is. So it's become the norm to work in this way and get maximum productivity from it. So if you can do that by giving your employees the tools and services that help them work smarter, your business will generate the rewards that go along with that. So think about how your business needs to adapt in order to take advantage of some of that. Now, whilst some market sectors are seeing a lot of growth now, certainly compared to the last few years, the rate of growth is still relatively slow, and in some sectors it is still, unfortunately, quite painful. So, another business challenge is how do you balance the need to keep up to date with your systems to make sure you're on the latest versions and so on, take advantage of these developments with the need to control costs. It is a difficult tightrope to walk. And so what we need to do is to show you how something like Sage CRM can address some of these business challenges. Now, Sage would recognize that the world of business is changing, so how you interact with customers and grow your business is changing too, as I've mentioned. Let's look at some of the features of Sage CRM in particular and how it responds to those business challenges. Firstly, recording interaction between you and your customers is really important. You will come to understand your customers better by having information about the type of engagement you've had, whether that's from a sales perspective, from a customer service perspective, and so on. Because if you understand your customers, you will be able to target them better, whether that's with a letter, an email, or even one of those social media mechanisms. And really importantly, you will be able to report back to the business on all of this. So that segment there, it talks about KPIs. That's about reporting. It's about dashboards. It's about features that allow you as a business to understand how successful you've been. Now, this diagram on the screen now is a Sage diagram. And it really just sort of overlays on top of the previous slide in terms of the features and benefits of Sage CRM. It is really easy to use as a tool. I work with lots of CRM systems and have done for many years, and I can tell you that there probably isn't an easier tool to use, particularly when, as say a user of Sage CRM, you want to maybe configure that or you want to adapt it to your business processes. It is really easy to do that. When you deploy a CRM system, it's tempting to go big bang and have this massive CRM system that will totally replace lots and lots of systems. Personally, I'm not a huge fan of that, and that's because with big bang approaches the cost can be quite high and the return on investment takes a little bit longer. And as I said, the functionality of within Sage CRM is so rich that actually using things like business process workflows and escalation rather than writing bespoke code helps you to keep the implementation costs and running costs down. Now, when you combine all of this with Sage ERP, for example, Sage 200, you really will start to enjoy better business insight and greater efficiencies. And as I said, it is critically affordable, so you're getting the best possible value for money. So just thinking about how you can place CRM as part of your Sage 200 suite system and strategy, I'd like to ask you another question, which is, how important is an integration between a CRM system and an ERP system to you? So let me just put that on the screen for you now so you can vote on it. So how important is CRM and ERP integration to you? Is it absolutely essential to your business? Is it not a priority, but it's something that you would consider if you can understand the benefits? And third question, what on earth is CRM and ERP integration? So if you could take a look at that now and place your vote, that would be absolutely fantastic. So we're certainly getting a good number of votes on this right now, and really interesting. It's a shame I can't show you things that are happening right as we go along, but I think we'll close the poll at this point. So that's again another interesting vote. So let me show you that on the screen. So you can see there again 2/3 of those that voted said it's not a priority, but you would consider it, and I think that's absolutely fair to have that as the most popular result, because I think most people, see it as something that hopefully can add business benefit, but is it important to the day-to-day running? Not necessarily. Well, hopefully what we'll be able to show is how it really can add some great business benefit. And if you look at this diagram on the screen right now, this really just talks about how the integration works. So, You can choose whether you integrate CRM into Sage 200 or keep it separate. But if I was to talk about some of the benefits of integrating the two, I think firstly, it's important to say the two systems are actually separate, but they're joined together by this synchronization process that allows you to update either system with the key information. So it may be that you only want your finance team to be able to update certain fields within the system so that you've got this single source of truth, and importantly that's around the accounting bit, so that when you send out an invoice you're not going to get any queries because names and addresses are wrong, for example. You can control that, so you can give the CRM users access to that, but at the same time control that from a finance point of view. Having said that, of course, a huge benefit of integrating CRM and ERP is the wealth of data that can be interrogated by CRM. So things like quotes and orders, invoices and so on can be displayed into the CRM system in real time by using this integration. And what that does, it does two things. Firstly, it allows your salespeople to perhaps understand their accounts and see what they're buying and see what they're not buying. But also, from a marketing perspective, it now gives you some further information to interrogate. So which customers should you target so that you can get things like repeat business. And Danny will show you how it looks next. Okay, so let's give the system a look. I'm going to bring Danny back in at this point. Danny, just before we look at the system, just from what you see from businesses that you work with around the UK, which are not just TSG customers, what would you say are the key motivations that companies have to start using CRM?
Okay, you got me there, yeah. Yeah, I think looking at sort of examples and customers that I've visited across the whole of the UK and Ireland, the adoption around CRM really is where we're seeing the strong adoption is in businesses where we can say the account side of the system, the finance side of the system is quite well established, and those type of organisations are really wanting to start and understand their customer base a lot better, and how they manage that sales cycle and that process with their customer base, and what does that actually look like, and how do they effectively communicate and target and market to that base, and how do they actually manage it from an after-sales care as well, to making sure that they're giving the customers the best experience possible, is where we see real strong adoption on those type of sites.
Okay, and in terms of things like the integration and being able to mine some of that data, is that something that people are doing more and more of these days?
We do, and it's interesting to see the slide there and some of the results around integration and what's essential and what's a priority. And there's some simple things around the integration, and maybe it's just understanding more what the integration actually looks like, because customers will like, and organisations do like to share some of the finance information, but not necessarily all of it. So some key important parts are, if you've got a sales team, if that sales team happens to be a mobile team who's out in the field visiting customers and visiting prospects, then having the ability to look at things like credit rating, outstanding balances, all sort of rich back office information that's traditionally held in an account system, to be able to surface that and present it in the CRM system is hugely beneficial to those sales type guys, where they don't have to then come off the road, take the call and call into credit control, because they have all of that visibility through the CRM system, which we can demonstrate when we go into the product.
Brilliant. Okay, well, let's take a look at that right now. So, Danny, I will make you the presenter, and
Okay.
you can share your screen and fire away.
Yeah, so I'll just share my screen. I'll fire up my image of CRM, and really what I'm going to do here is just to sort of give you a bit of a look and feel. And what I'm going to do is sort of cover three of those key areas that I mentioned there, that organizations are looking at for and looking to use CRM for. So that's really thinking about your sales teams, your sales cycle, and what that actually looks like, and we'll talk about how you can use CRM to do that. We'll be talking about how you can then market to your existing base, and that might be that you want to market to prospects, it might be you want to market to existing customers, it might be you want to market to everybody. There's ways we can manage that through CRM, how we can be specific in targeting that particular audience, and what message we're sending to that particular audience. And then what we'll do is we'll just think about the after-sales side of the process, and how we can manage a customer care or a customer service desk, and where we can take and manage our service level agreements. So I've logged into CRM here. And what you probably notice first of all is that I'm actually running this through an internet browser. So this is run through Internet Explorer, obviously cross-browser compatible. So we've got Internet Explorer here, Chrome, Safari, opening up that mobile story, being able to have access on devices like tablets and iPads, and out in the field with the internet connection is going to give me access to all of that rich information that I have there. I logged into a CRM as a user here, which is highlighted as Susan May at the top of the screen here. And just to give you a bit of the navigation, we've got the navigation panel down the left-hand side here, so I can go to My CRM, I can do searches, I can create new accounts. If I were to click on any of these, it will take me into the default, which is a new company there, or I can right-click and decide what it is I want to create. I can go into My CRM now, and I now have my preferred view when I log into CRM. So my preferred view here is to look at my calendar. So the first thing you'll see here is my calendar, my appointments that I've got scheduled in for this current week, and all of the tasks that I've got scheduled in here. And this is an integration with Microsoft Exchange. So whatever I put in here from an appointment or a task point of view, that will seamlessly integrate with my version of Outlook. And likewise, anything that I put in Outlook will seamlessly integrate with CRM. So we can look at it rather than having your own diary and keeping that in your own Outlook. We've actually got a shared diary here, and as a team manager, we can then log in and look at my team CRM, and I can see what all of my employees are doing, or all of the members of my particular team. So I can then best allocate resource, opportunity, calls, whatever it might be that I need to do. And I can then clearly send out emails from here. I can create new appointments, new tasks. I can schedule them all in. I can do filters, all based on the panel that we have on the right-hand side of the screen here as well. If we're thinking about this from a sales point of view, though, and I'm logged in as somebody who has full privileges, so obviously Sage 200 CRM can be controlled by access rights. So when users log in, they only see what access is available to them, only what territories or regions they're working in, etc. But you will see everything here as I log in. But what I can now start and do is, if I'm thinking about that sales process, then I can start and look at my opportunities that I'm currently working on within the system. And my opportunities will then be presented in this pipeline diagram here. And this pipeline diagram is split into 4 key areas in my example data. So I get a lead, the lead is qualified, we'll submit the proposal, we negotiate, and hopefully we'll then take that to a close stage, and ideally we'll take it to a close one. At any point in my pipeline, I can start and get reports out of it. So I can see there I've got 17 opportunities that I'm currently working on. Out of those 17 opportunities, the value is just shy of £60,000 there. And how I've weighted those opportunities, I can see my weighted forecast against those particular opportunities. And the idea being there, as opportunities move down and move along the sales cycle, the more likelihood is that there's going to be a chance of closing in our favor, so we can weight those more heavily as they move down that sales cycle there. The sales cycle, by the way, is entirely down to your control. It comes with an out-of-the-box flavor, which is what I'm showing you here. But if in your lead you have a qualification before you submit the proposal, maybe you've got to do a demonstration, then that can be introduced and that can be configured to give you the sales cycle that matches your business process. At any point on that sales cycle, what I can do is I can click on a particular stage of that cycle, and what it will do is, you'll notice at the bottom of the screen there that it's changed, and it's now giving me a list of opportunities at that particular stage. And I can see there my forecast has changed now for only those 3 opportunities with their forecast value and their weighted forecast value. And if I was just to click on that pipe again, it just takes me back to the full pipeline there. What you might notice on the screen here as well is there's a series of hyperlinks associated with CRM, and that just allows me to drill into additional bits of information. So for example, this opportunity here, this is a kitchen company, and they have a promotion on selling 3 toasters for the price of 2. This promotion and this opportunity is currently with a company called Abbey Retail, and the person at Abbey Retail is a lady called Hayley Bass. And at any point in time, I can click on that record, and it will take me to their detail. So if I click on Abbey Retail, for example, that's going to take me into their account detail. So I'm now looking at all of the information for Abbey Retail. So if we start to think about this from a sales perspective, I'm a sales guy who's about to go and visit Abbey Retail, and I want to work on that opportunity for that 3 for 2 offer that we're working on with them. But before I do that, I want to see all of my communication history that I've had with Abbey Retail. So this gives me my 360-degree view now of what we as an organization have been saying to Abbey Retail as an organization. So it might be that I'm going in and hopefully attempting to close that piece of business, but what I might be able to see before I do that is actually we've just targeted them with a marketing campaign, and have they had any interest in that campaign? They might have put a call into our service desk, and that call might be still outstanding. So what I'm now able to do is see that full picture of what we've been saying as an organization to Abbey Retail. It instantly raises our credibility when we're dealing with our prospects and our customers, because as a sales guy, I actually have full visibility of what all of the teams are doing behind me, and I'm not just coming in there from a sales point of view. Where we touched on that integration piece earlier, this is something that you can choose to do or not, and whether it's a priority or not, but it's some nice information that we have is simply just to look at information like the financial detail. So if I look at Abbey Retail, this is a sales ledger account in my back office system, and it's integrated with my back office system, and it's brought across their credit limit. It's also brought across their outstanding balance. I can see whether that particular account is on stop or not. So some real rich information from the integration and what I can see from a back office in that front office environment without having to speak to credit control or having to drill into the account system, which as a salesperson, that's not something that I'm familiar with. I can also see, again, based on my access rights, a lot of the Sage 200 accounts data. So if I am out on site and I do need to question maybe it's a previous order, maybe I need to question an outstanding transaction, maybe the customer would like to know how much they've spent with us this year. I can see that, I can see it by period, I can see all of this information available, which is all rich back office accounts information, which I'm able to share with my front office field-based sales guys or any other teams that are using the CRM system. These are called entities, so you can see I'm in the company entity here, but I wanted to now look at my opportunity, so I can now go into those opportunities, and what I can do is I can see that opportunity there for that 3 for 2 on that particular toaster, and I can now go into that particular opportunity. So think of this as just multiple layers of data, and it's just how do we want to view that data? Do I want to view it at the company level, which will give me all of the information for Abbey Retail? Do I want to view it at the person level, which will give me all of the information regarding that person at Abbey Retail? Or do I want to look at this now for this opportunity, which gives me all of the detail of my opportunity at that company? So we've got this opportunity for 3 for 2 on this particular toaster. I know that nobody else has been into the account and spoken to Abbey Retail in general. I can now start to look at my opportunity. I can see what my last communication was for this particular opportunity now. I can look and see and raise and build any quotations within CRM. I can build those quotations up and then convert those quotations across to an order. And those orders can then synchronize and post into the back office for people in the back office to pick up and allocate stock, pick the stock, pack it, dispatch it, invoice it, and all of that back office functionality that you would typically do there. When I look at this particular opportunity, what I'm looking at is the stage that it's at. So this is a stage where it's at a proposal submitted. So when we were looking at that pipeline, we can see where it can go to next. So what can actually happen is what we call managing your workflow, and where an opportunity can go to next in your business process. And this is something that you can map out. So a simple example here is I'm no longer working on this particular opportunity, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to hand this opportunity over to Paul. If I reassign that, forgetting the CRM system, if I was to reassign an opportunity to Paul, then it's, I need to speak to Paul, I need to pick up the telephone, I need to send him an email, I need to give him all of the correspondence that I've had with Abbey Retail on this particular opportunity. What I really should be doing as well from a courtesy point of view is speaking to Abbey Retail to say, I'm no longer your account manager, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to be handing you over to Paul and introducing Paul to you as a new account manager, which we can do with manual process, picking up telephones, sending emails, picking up shared documents, etc. What you can do as part of your business workflow in CRM is if I was to reassign that, it can automate processes for you. So in me reassigning that to Paul, I can automatically send an email to Paul to tell him that I've done that. What I can also do is wrap a customer-facing email around that and send that out to the customer to thank them for the time, introduce Paul, give him his contact details, and let them know that he'll be calling in the next day or however soon it might be. But what you're able to do there is automate a lot of your processes, so you're not just tracking the opportunity and where it's at, but actually you're building in your workflow and being able to automate some of that workflow. That works really well when we start to look at the case and the cases and the after-sales care, and we want to start and manage service level agreements and making sure we're satisfying our service level agreements, and that business flow and that workflow and automating that workflow can really help us do that. So we've got the sales side. We can track our opportunities in there. We can see them through to fruition. We can then obviously report. So there's a reporting module within CRM which will allow me to report on my sales, and my sales I might want to report on from a particular marketing campaign and how successful is that marketing campaign. There's a whole host of different reports available, and all can be customized as well. From a team CRM point of view, in that sales perspective, what I can do there is I can look at all of my opportunities within my UK sales team, and I can see where those opportunities are at, and I can see who those opportunities are actually logged to, and I can drill into each one of these opportunities and see who the owner is and what the progress has been made on that particular opportunity. So there's some real rich information available in storing data and tracking data from a sales side, but what we can also start and think about doing when we look at my CRM is then how do we start to manage our customer base, our prospecting base, our suppliers. So we don't, CRM stands for customer relationship management, but it's not just about customers. You speak to suppliers, you speak to accountants, you'll speak to referrers, you'll speak to business partners, consultants. This is about keeping all of that information in one place where you can then share that information with other users within your organization. But I now want to get a message out to my base, or my existing base, my entire base, a selection of that base, customers who've bought a particular product or service off us, customers who maybe haven't bought from us in a particular period of time. I can start and build what we call groups. And in those groups, I can start to target a particular audience. So you can see here, customers who've purchased from a particular product group, customers who've purchased a particular espresso machine. I've now got a complementary machine that works with that, or a complementary service. I might want to target my entire base because I've got a new product catalog, or we've moved premises, or we've opened up a new store. Whatever it might be, I can then use that as an entire base. I can build groups to target particular people within my prospecting and my existing base. And these groups can be different types. So you can have a dynamic group, and you can also have a static group. So a dynamic group means as customers and prospects and companies satisfy the criteria for that particular group, they will drop in or they will drop out if they no longer satisfy that. So when I'm sending a message, it's only going to the message and the relevant audience within that group. And I can then have static groups. So an example of a static group would be, we know all of the attendees who've logged into today's webinar. That's not going to change moving forward. So what I can do is I can build a static group to then take this webinar to the next stage and make sure that I'm only targeting the right people in that group. So you can really get a lot of control on who are you messaging from your system. And then once we start to message from the system, we can then use the marketing side of Sage CRM. And the marketing side will allow me to manage that in two folds. We can have traditional campaigns, and in a traditional campaign, what I can do is I can build up a wave, which will be, this one is an example, is a product awareness. And then within that wave, I've got a series of activities. And within those activities, I've got different actions going off. So some of those are an initial promotion, some of those are outsourced telemarketing, some of those are account management calls. So that can then start to build lists for you. So you can manage call-out lists. So I don't have to think, who do I need to call next? I can just ask the list, and the list will give me the next person in that campaign who I need to call. We can build budgets and enter actual costs against these, so we can see how effective that campaign has been. We know what the budget is, we know what the actual cost is. We can then measure that against revenue to see whether that promotion is worth repeating. Did we get enough revenue on the back of that particular campaign? Where this then really starts to get powerful is when we start to talk about e-marketing. The easiest way, the cheapest way, and the quickest way to target a mass audience is through an email. So with the email marketing enabled within Sage 200 CRM, what that then allows me to do is build up marketing campaigns and then build a target audience around that particular campaign. So I've got a very simple example here that I've built where I've got a campaign, and my campaign is to email out my latest catalog. When I email out my latest catalog, I want to target a group, so that's where I've built my group, and I want to target everybody. And I want to build an email template which will basically have the information for that particular campaign. think of that as having your landing sites on. Think of that as having multiple landing sites on, so you can see, if you were promoting a roadshow, a seminar, or an event, and they may be in different regions, then you can promote that on that template. But the key message from here is once that has been sent, then the system will track that campaign, and it will see what information it comes back on the back of that campaign. So you can see from here, I successfully submitted 4 emails. And I've then got a series of reports available, so I can see who's opened it, and I can see who's opened it by their email. And I can see the different email addresses, and I can see when they've actually opened it, what time they've opened it, and I can then build in some drip marketing if I wanted to target them with this particular message around that. So let's say, for example, they had clicked on the landing site for an event in Newcastle, then I could build a follow-up mailer to that, which is maybe an email inviting them into that particular event, and maybe it's a little map on there which is giving them directions on how they'll find the venue. And these are all of the things you can start to run through with the marketing campaigns on Sage CRM. So marketed to this base, we've sold into this space, and we're now needing to manage the after-sales side of that. A classic example to think about here is Sage or TSG. You put a call into these guys, you put a call into Sage, and you needing help. Then what you generally get is a ticket number or a case or a reference ID. That's a CRM reference. That's a CRM information that they're giving you there. And what we can do with CRM is we can take my team for technical support. I can look at all of my cases, and with my cases, I can now see a case pipeline. So what happens when you call me? I will log the call. It might get queued in my support team. Somebody then picks it up to investigate. Maybe we have to wait and speak to somebody else. It's then resolved and closed off. Again, you can map your own service desk or customer care process out, but what the important message is in here is we can start to build in our service level agreements, and you might have that gold, silver, platinum type agreement with your customers. Every time I log a case, or every time I move a case into a different stage in here, and like this works with opportunities as well, but if I go into one of my cases here, then I have a tracking system, and the tracking system knows exactly what date and time it came into this particular stage. What that then allows me to do is on that particular case, if we know that that goes into queued and we're only satisfied that it can be in queued for an hour, at 45, 50 minutes, I can send an email to the owner of this particular case in my system, so I can see who it's assigned to here, and I can send an email to them advising them that they're running out of time on this case and it needs to move on to make sure we satisfy our service level agreements. If we do fail on our service level agreements, then I can actually escalate this, and as part of that business workflow, I can escalate it and email it to Chris's manager to let him know that we've got a case here that's failing on the service level agreements, and we really need to do something to pick this up and get it back on track with the customer. And if in some of your businesses you've got services or calls or help where you can self-diagnose, so if we think of a service desk from a support point of view in Sage, let's say, for example, you were asking how to do the VAT return because you only do it quarterly and you're relatively new to the system, then what we can do is we can build in a solution center where you can have those documents built into the system, and you can then just email it out. So the customer calls, we log it, we can send them the documentation so they can diagnose and try and repair themselves with a knowledge base or a solution center built into the system to speed up that process and make it more efficient, so the next time the customer comes to do their VAT return the following quarter, they don't need to call in because you've already provided them with a document which will take them through on a step-by-step basis. So some real powerful tools we can use from within CRM there. So we've mentioned the integration, we've talked about the sales process, we've talked about marketing to our existing base, whether it be prospects, customers, or everybody. We've talked about how we can manage the after-sales care. We've talked about integration with email, one of the other integration with the back office as well, and one of the other areas really that I wanted to talk about is an area where you can actually, if you want to, start to open this up as a self Style Kitchens' website, which if you have a website which got this kind of information on there already, how to contact us. Maybe you can subscribe to your newsletters for get information on your products and your services and promotions. So you know, if you're doing this on your website already, then you're already doing some form of CRM functionality. Somebody is tracking this information. Somebody might be tracking it in an Excel spreadsheet, in their own email, but somebody is already doing CRM functionality. What this allows me to do is if I click on Contact Us or I want to subscribe to your newsletter, then it will capture information that I decide as a business what I want to capture, and when I then submit that or save that, it will automatically promote that into CRM, and the person who owns that particular area of the business will have a notification when they next log in to say there's a new newsletter, this customer wants to register, or this customer has been asked to be contacted and they're interested in a new kitchen in this example here, or a new fitting of a kitchen. So there's some standard CRM functionality there that you can drop into your web pages, but then from a self-service point of view, and I've got a customer who works out of hours who I provide them with some particular machinery, let's say for example, and they're having an issue with that machinery out of hours, then what I can do is I can allow them to log into my website, and on my website I can let them report an issue, I can let them request product information, I can see what their current issues are, so they can start to give me detail. And what you'll notice is as soon as I click on that report a problem, it's given them a ticket number. So now when they ever email and liaise with me on that particular ticket number, it can automatically attach that to that particular ticket within CRM. So we've got the full audit trail of everything that's gone on. But they've got a reference number that they can refer to there. They can give me the detail of the issue. They can save that, and again under the hood that will then take that into CRM, and it will attach it as a case and allocate it to the relevant person that owns that. So the next time they log in, they will see they'll have a new ticket, or they might even decide to send that as an email to that particular person. There's different ways we can manage it, but what we're allowing is we're allowing our customers to self-service when they can't get hold of us because we're out of hours, or they maybe simply just can't get through to that particular individual, but it can still send the information and track it in CRM, so we can pick it up and we've got full visibility of what's going on within the system. And that really is the demonstration that we had in mind and shown you. Was just to re-emphasize what we talked about there is integrations with Outlook, integrations with back office. We've talked about the sales cycle, we've talked about the marketing campaigns, and we've talked about that after service, that after sales care, and how customers can use that and how they can log into the system themselves through the self-service portal.
Okay, thanks ever so much, Danny. You know, that's great demonstration, and it's such a great tool. The integration is so tight between 200 accounts and CRM. It really just allows you to work so much smarter, and I think that demonstration was a great example of that, Danny. So thank you very much. Okay, so how do you actually get this implemented? Because you know it's okay as showing you what it looks like and getting you all excited, but how do you actually implement this? Well, what we've done at TSG is with the idea of getting CRM implemented quickly for you, then we've come up with a fast start implementation process that should help. And as I said earlier on, you know, I mean, personally, I've been involved in hundreds of CRM implementations over my time, some big and some small. But Sage CRM is so easy to deploy. I think if you're looking to take advantage of CRM, then this is the way to do it. So our implementation will start off with half a day, gathering some specific requirements from you. What sort of fields do you want on? What sort of information do you like to record? What do you want to use more of? And we'll spend some time working with you with that. And based on that, we will then come along and install CRM on your server, and that will include the Outlook integration so that you can gain the benefit from being integrated with your Outlook as well and use it from within Outlook and link your emails and so on and so forth. We will set up the CRM and ERP integration. So you would have a blank CRM database to begin with, and we'll set up the integration so that the data from Sage 200 feeds through to the CRM system so that all the links are there and they're populated. We'll also cover some basic and admin training. We'll certainly do that for you so that you're ready to use. And what's really important is that we come back and actually do some kind of assessment. Is it being used? What else do you need to take advantage of? So approximately 6 weeks after go live, then we'll come back in, do a bit of a review with you, and see what we can do on the next stage. So the key question is, what is all this going to cost me? And so we're going to do this for £3,500. Now, the sort of bit at the bottom where it says as of date of webinar recording, that's because these webinars are recorded and put on our TSG website and our YouTube channel and stay there for forever. So, in 10, 15 years, it's important that someone doesn't come back and say, 15 years ago you quoted this price and it's on a webinar, so that's the price it is. But this price is not going away anytime soon. This is a cost-effective price to get CRM implemented in your Sage 200 Suite solution. One question that came up last week, which I'll answer right at the beginning, is about license prices. So CRM licenses are £880 if you attach them to Sage 200. You can have a Suite user which has access to both Sage 200 accounts and Sage 200 CRM. And if you're an existing Sage 200 user and want to upgrade to that full Suite user, that's an additional £450. Okay, I'd like to take some questions that we have had with Danny's help. So a couple of questions which we'll get through, so thank you for submitting those. The first one is, I have 12 users of Sage 200. Should I give them all access to CRM? So I'll take that one. Well, the simple answer is you could if you wanted to, but one of the core CRM principles is about sharing information across teams, so there's openness and information there that would benefit the customer. So if you want to give people access to your Sage CRM, your Sage account system as well, then that's totally within your gift to do that. But because of the integration, I think you'll find that a lot of the information that a CRM user would find beneficial will be there as part of the integration. So you can if you want to, but you don't have to. Okay, next question, which is one I'm going to pose to you, Danny. This is a question about mobile clients. It's a very hot topic at the moment. So the question is there a remote CRM app which can be used offline, which will sync some of the Sage 200 data?
That one for me, Paul, yeah?
Yes,
okay.
That one's for you.
There isn't. The CRM for Sage 200, it's a live link to the database, so you do require the internet access to pick up the data. There isn't a remote copy or a synced version of CRM that will then, once you then dock or reconnect to the internet, it will reconnect and make the changes for you. If you don't have the internet connection and access into your database on your CRM server, then unfortunately you can't connect to the CRM information. You do need a live internet connection.
Okay, thanks, Danny. I mean, the one thing just to add to that is that if these things do rely on connectivity, we're very conscious of that, and connectivity is one of the many areas that TSG actually provides. So if if connectivity is holding you back, then there may be something that we can do with that, and certainly talk to your account manager at TSG, who should be able to help you with that. Okay, next question. Are there any marketing solutions that you'd recommend? So I'll give that one to you, Danny, as well, please.
Okay. So the marketing piece that we looked at earlier, there was two sides to that marketing. There was the traditional campaigns where you can build call-out lists. There might be a press release, etc., etc. That's a traditional side. The e-marketing was very much about managing emails and sending emails. And what I was showing you there, yes, there is an integration with a company called SwiftPage, is the e-marketing provider that we use for Sage 200 CRM for our marketing campaigns. That was SwiftPage.
Okay, and SwiftPage is a product that we're familiar with at TSG, and we can also fully support us as well. Okay, that's all the questions that have come through, so thank you for those questions. And also thank you for taking time out of your day to listen to us today. I just thought I'd go through a quick summary of what we've talked about today. Firstly, businesses who nurture customers by using CRM really do see a greater return, and they certainly see a return on the investment in CRM. But nurture marketing is very much where it's at right now. That's the way that customers want to be engaged with your business. So, use a system that actually helps you with that. Second point really is, the amount of data in an ERP system is vast. And so why not allow your teams to have some of that useful information that's controlled by your finance team, but helps them understand who their best customers are? Because really it isn't scary. CRM is probably best started off quite small, and we can help you with a small implementation. Get it in there, start to see the benefits, and let the CRM system grow alongside your business. If we've managed to spark any means of excitement today, then fantastic. Please give us a call, get in touch. We've got a few methods by which we'd like you to do that. Firstly, we have a live chat mechanism on tsg.com. So do go along to there. We've got some experts waiting to talk to you about the possibilities of CRM or anything else that TSG does for that matter. So try that. That's new. Or you can send us an email at info@tsg.com, or use the traditional method. Pick up the phone and give us a call, 0845 1111 888. That's 0845 1111 888. It really would be great to come and show you this system in person. So whether you're a sales manager or director, please go and talk to your FD about opening up the existing Sage 200 suite. Or in fact, if you are the FD, why not head to your sales guy and maybe talk about how finance, sales and marketing can work more closely together. We will be putting a recording of this webinar on our website and YouTube channel, so if you'd like to watch it again, or in fact if you'd like to share the information with others, then please do so. We'll also be sending out an ebook from Sage which will give you some further information on Sage CRM. So thanks very much once again for your time. Thank you very much, Danny.
Yeah, thanks a lot everybody, appreciate your time.
And we'll see you on another webinar soon. Thanks very much.